AITA for not wanting my husband to go to his stepbrother's fiancée's funeral? Throwaway account because husband knows my main. I'll get to the point. I'm 30. Currently 36 weeks pregnant. It's been an okay pregnancy so far. But one thing I can't stand is traveling. Makes me nauseous. And flying is a big no since how far along I am. My husband's 32 stepbrother's fiancée passed away. And the funeral is next week. It's in another state and he would have to fly out. As I mentioned, flying is something I can't do physically. So I unfortunately won't be able to go. My husband wants to go by himself but I want him to stay with me. In case anything happens, God forbid, but also for support just in case. Next week when the funeral happens, is he staying there for another week with his stepbrother? My husband said because he needs to be there for him. I suggested he video call with his stepbrother to be there for him. But he said he needs to be there and I'm being unsupportive of him. We gotten into an argument over this and he's been pissed off at me since. But I don't know if I really am being unsupportive of my husband. AITA? NTA because of the plan to go for a week. My water spontaneously broke at home at 37 weeks and my baby came 12 hours later. I had a very uneventful pregnancy. He might not understand that he might miss the birth. My husband and I were acting like the due date was agreed upon by the baby. So we sure were surprised and not ready. If it were my husband and he was adamant about going, which I do get, I would ask him to only go for the night or two max. And I would have a friend or family member aware of the situation on standby. Anything can happen at this point. Info: have you asked him if he'd consider going to the funeral and not staying for a whole week? Info: what's his plan if, when you go into labor? Can he get back within a few hours? Will he be able to forgive himself for missing the birth of his child if he can't get back in time? Will you be able to forgive him? It's really terrible timing and I feel for both of you. I think you guys need to sit down together and look at all the possible scenarios and decide what you can and can't live with. If he was flying quickly in and out, that would be one thing. Flying out when you are 37 weeks and then staying another full week is definitely not the same. Your baby can come at literally any time now. I never made it to 37 weeks with any of mine. Yes, it is a funeral of someone very important to his brother. Yes, he wants to support him. The extended travel plans are not the way to do that right now. NTA. But only because of how far along you are. I looked it up and babies can be expected anywhere between 3,742 weeks. But usually 40. So, next week 37. Staying for another week 38. That's cutting it dangerously close. And never mind following the due date. Babies almost never arrive on that day. If he really insists on attending, he should go for just the one day. Fly in that morning or the evening before. And fly out that evening or the morning after. If he were attending the funeral and flying right back, I could understand. But staying for a week when your wife is due to give birth any day is not okay. NTA. I'm very concerned that everyone is skipping over the fact that you'll be 37 weeks pregnant when he leaves and he will stay away for a week, making you 38 weeks pregnant. This means you'll be alone, ready to pop for a week. He shouldn't go on this trip, and if he does go, it should be for one day. He can pay respects, see the family, and then come home to be with the family he chose to create. I think your husband needs to go to the funeral, but staying another week is a bit much given the circumstances. Nah, if he only goes for a day or two to be there. NTA as he demands staying for a week. That's crazy. I took care of pregnant people for 40 years and I promise that there is no guarantee that anyone will make it to 40 weeks. Too many variables and things that could go wrong. The short list is preterm labor and birth, preeclampsia, and they will induce at 37 weeks for any blood pressure elevation, premature rupture of membranes, low amniotic fluid index. There are a lot more complications that could mean it's best for you to deliver now. He's lost his mind. NTA, but he is if he plans to be gone for 2 weeks in your last 4 weeks of pregnancy. Info: so you are currently 36 weeks. The funereal is next week, so you would be 37 weeks and then he would stay a week, which would put you at 38 weeks. NTA 36 weeks pregnant isn't a joke. I gave birth to my first at 36 weeks. Healthy 8 pounds. And the next 2 were both 2 weeks early. Yes, everyone is different, but that doesn't make it right for him to not be there for you now. Taking that into account and considering everything you're going through, not wanting him to go is understandable. I think he should go for the actual funeral. But it's unreasonable for him to stay for more than a couple of days at the most. You and your little one should be his first priority here. NTA. You'll be 38 weeks pregnant by the time he gets back? Is anyone proclaiming AITA actually doing the pregnancy math here? She could literally go into labor at any point during the week he's gonna be gone for. I was leaning towards nah until I saw that he wants to stay an extra week. That would be when you are 38 weeks pregnant, which I would not be comfortable with at all. Does he not care about the possibility of missing the birth? Also, he needs to understand that pregnant mothers can often need extra physical and emotional support in the days leading up to birth. He seems completely focused on supporting them and is dismissing your needs and concerns. I get the being there for the funeral part. The staying an extra week to support him? Not so much. NTA. NTA leaving at 37 weeks is questionable, as is because you could go into labor at any point, but staying for a week is crazy. If he wanted to spend one night after you got a check from your OBGYN like the day or 2 prior, then okay, but a whole week that close to the end? Just no. NTA. It is one thing for him to go out for the funeral to lend support, but the week after that is a no-go for me. You'll be 38 weeks pregnant, and that's close enough to make anyone nervous. NTA. Caveat: he goes to funeral for 48 hours with a known flight time as a bailout point just in case. My grandma missed my sister's birth in the exact same situation. Not as bad since it's grandma and not dad missing the birth. Born at 37 weeks. My husband used to work out of town and the last month of pregnancy for me, his boss let him work locally so he could leave at a moment's notice. For the birth of our son, only a 90 minutes drive to get home vs 14 hours or plane ride. NTA. He thinks you're being unsupportive? The audacity. He's being unsupportive of his 36-week pregnant wife and unborn baby. His stepbrother has other people to support him. You need your husband more right now. I was hospitalized at 36 weeks due to severe preeclampsia. The baby could come at any time. NTA. I'm sorry, but as far along as you or your husband shouldn't be leaving you for a week. 12 days, then I'd say suck it up, but not for a week. I understand this is a super sucky situation, but a week is just too much at this point. NTA. At first I was going to say needed more info. Like how long will he be gone? Could he limit it to 1 or 2 days? How far away would he be? And do you have a support person who could help you for a couple of days? But regardless of the answers, the request to stay with stepbrother for a week is definitely too much. Given that you'll presumably be 37 weeks by the time that week of travel starts. The chances of something happening that you need him for are so much more for a full week than just 12 days. I would suggest if you do have a close friend or family member who can come stay with you, and if there are enough direct flights between locations that he could come back easily if something happens, let him go to the funeral itself. But arrange things so he isn't gone any longer than necessary. No more than 2 nights. By the way, regardless of being nauseous, most doctors would not be cool with you flying after 36 weeks except extreme circumstances.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.